Hi, team. So we had three readings this week that Justin and I are going to discuss, and we'll have an open discussion, and then we'll toss it back to Yellow Dig for continuing questions. Well, should we move on to the second reading,
Yeah,
which was the weapons of math destruction?
yeah. The weapons of math destruction is one of our readings. Our assignment this week was to read the first 13 pages of the introduction, and I think the weapons of math destruction kind of provides an antagonistic view of sorts of the big data industry. In the readings that we did, it highlights the experiences of a school teacher that worked in Washington, D.C. She taught fifth grade, and they came out with a program in Washington, D.C. to be able to evaluate the teachers and to be able to get the teachers that were underperforming out of the system. And they would use standardized test scores from year to year to year, even at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, to evaluate these teachers. And um, the school district hired a company, I think in the Midwest, to go through and create these algorithms to determine how they were going to evaluate the teachers. And so the particular subject of the of the readings was the school teacher who was getting tremendous reviews. She was engaging with her students really well. Her principal loved her. The other instructors loved her. But at the end, she ended up getting a failing grade and ended up getting fired. And she started asking questions. Why did I get fired? I'm getting really great scores from everybody. Everybody seemed to like me. Nobody could answer the question on how the algorithm worked because it was a contract that came out of the Midwest. The programmers had long since moved on. Nobody could really answer her question of what happened. And then when it came down to reviewing some of the test scores, they found that some of the test scores from the students from the previous year showed signs of being manipulated. And so you have these fourth grade students that may have had the teachers going in and fixing answers to make the teachers look better, but in the end, it sets the fifth grade teacher up for failure. Luckily, the teacher that was being made an example here was able to move on to a better school district that truly took advantage of her skills and abilities. So it ended well for her, but it highlights a lot of great points of over-reliance upon data and not being able to understand where your algorithms are coming from. So, what jumped out to you when you were reading through that section?
For me, I was horrified to find that when she challenged the results of those algorithms, they wouldn't explain them to her. They were either saying that they were too complex to describe and she wouldn't understand, or they were saying it was proprietary information. And so, though she was being evaluated based on that information and a career decision was made on her behalf based on that information, there was no transparency in what really produced that result or that outcome. She discovered that the tests were apparently altered from their prior class through other means, and it wasn't through this inquiry involved in how the data actually came about. And so that's truly horrifying that
Yeah.
you can have a decision made on your behalf without ever understanding where that comes from. And that was truly horrifying for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can probably resonate through performance reviews. A
Mhm.
lot of people go through performance reviews, and the bigger the business or the organization, the more standardized the performance review is going to be, and whether or not we're truly introducing human elements into those factors and scores.
That's right. And the other thing that the reading highlighted was it's intended to take out bias. So if you have a principal that has a preference for a certain teacher, they could, through other instruments, give them a better review. But the data is supposed to take the subjectivity out of it and make it more objective. But it also highlighted that the people that are programming those systems probably have a bias. As we've kind of discovered in some of our other classes, we have these underlying biases that we ourselves may not even be aware of that you could unintentionally program into your algorithms and your data analytics. And that was pretty shocking too, and something to be aware of with big data.
Yeah, definitely.